Okay.
Where are you at? Are you in the middle of the season now?
We have a specific schedule because we have state championships in the first semester and national championships in the second semester.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And for example, São Paulo is the state with the majority quantity of the games,
Mhm.
and they start to play late on February, and they have the championship game in the national tournament start of December, early December. So some guys has 40 games per year, and
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy. And some guys that have more experience, some in the late in the year, they travel to make this assignment in other states and championship games, semi-final games, and a lot of travels in the late in November, December. And this year, the last game I guess is November 30, and but we almost in the playoffs in state championship games.
Okay.
So a lot of games.
Yeah. So we call that crunch time.
Yes,
All the stakes are high. You know what I mean?
yes,
So
yes.
good.
It's crazy because São Paulo, for example, has shortage of officials, but they have a lot of place with games,
Yeah.
and they have to call states like Rio de Janeiro and Paraná and
Oh,
to help on these assignments, but uh, they are praying to end the state tournament because a lot of games since February, and they need to rest because the national tournament is coming.
okay. Wow. Wow, that's great. So, what's the farthest you would have to travel, or would an official have to do like a multiple day trip, or what's the farthest?
Uh, some São Paulo and Paraná sometimes have double header games,
Okay.
so you officiate a game 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.
Yeah.
So, but considering traveling, some guys can travel 6 hours and to go and 6 hours to back,
Oh,
and that's the farthest place to go, but the average, I guess, 2 hours
okay.
is the nearest place to officiate a game.
That's about when I was working high school football. That's about what I would do. About 2 hours. 2 hours was on the long side, I guess, but
Yes.
those road trips. Then does everybody travel together? Does the crew travel together normally, or does everybody drive separately? Or
Uh, when the game is in the capital, for example, São Paulo City, uh, they can uh, go ahead to the field,
Mhm.
and or gather in some subway station to meet each other and go together. But in Paraná, we have Curitiba is a small capital, so they go directly to the field. And but the majority of the place they go together because some games are in other cities.
Mhm, mhm. And does everybody know each other? Does everybody pretty much know each other before the game, or will you meet new people?
Uh, uh, we have a shortage of
Yeah,
officials, so everybody knows who
yeah.
are each other. But some guys like Pedro in the school, he's assigned every week, so everybody knows Pedro. But some guys are starting their career, and Pedro doesn't know every guys.
Yeah,
So it's a new experience every week.
yeah, yeah. It's so
Bernardo has
similar.
something to say, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
Hi, Mr. Cruz.
Hi.
One thing Guy was mentioning the long schedule we have. Lucky for us, the teams don't play weekly, So they play once a month for monetary reasons too. So it prevents us from the shortage of officials because we usually do these double headers, and you have the guarantee that not every team is playing every week. So it gives us an advantage. But there are some states like São Paulo where they don't have like fixed crews. So this week Pedro may be my referee, and next week it may be Guilherme or Vitor or somebody else. And some states like in Rio, we have like the starting seven, and we try as much as possible to go to the games, to every game with those guys. And it brings like a camaraderie, like I said last week, you know, the locker room and the stories we share. We have done something for the last couple of years. We had one game where we would try to do a crew with only our closest friends and the guys who were closest on the studies. We would be like a dream team or something like that. So we would do we have seen a video, a Big 12 video, I think, showing the NCAA procedures, the pregame procedures, and we tried to mock that as much as possible, to do the same things. So we got a hotel on Friday night, and we did like a session on Friday night, and we did the procedures for the game exactly like we saw the video, and it was an amazing experience.
Oh, that's awesome.
I wish we could do that more.
Yeah, you know, and I'm so glad you mentioned that. Thank you for sharing that, because as we work through our seasons get long, and we go week to week to week, and every now and then we have a bye week. But sometimes we get complacent. I hope that's coming through. Complacent meaning, you know, sometimes we take it for granted that we have a hotel and we're going to meet and we're going to discuss our performance, and then we're going to get ready for the teams we're going to have. Sometimes we don't do a good enough job because complacency creeps in. And, you know, I always wondered why that was. And it's in officiating, complacency is our biggest enemy. It's not the coaches. It's not the players. It's ourselves. It's ourselves. When we lose focus, when we lose concentration, that's when we're at our biggest risk to not perform the way we want to. So that's great that you got to do that, you know, because I think most officials will agree that it's really not the games you remember. It's more about the locker room stories and the road trips and the friendships and relationships that we make. So the fact you're trying to be intentional about that, I don't know if you got money to do that or you could pay it out of your own pocket, but certainly we've all done that for special games as well. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Mr. Cruz, I have a question. Because every person in this room already officiate a game that in Brazil we have the running clocking session, when the scoreboard goes 35 and beyond. Okay. And we always talking about taking some reps, and we have been talking about quality reps. So in this kind of game, we don't have all the quality reps, because the players are already tired of the game, and they want to go home. We want to go home. What kind of mentality or the kind of repetition we can have in a good manner in this kind of game? Because I don't want to think it's time wasted in this kind of the game.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And so whether you're playing with a running clock or it's just more of a lopsided game, the question applies. And we're all going to have those games during the season, and we're all going to have games like, you know, I've noticed in the NFL, when we get later in the season, one team is fighting for a playoff spot and one team is just not, they're like 3-13 or something. It's just not going to happen for them this year. You can tell the level of intensity. There's a big gap. So, for us, we're always in contention in my mind, right? People say we don't win or lose. I don't agree with that. We are competing. We're competing against ourselves. Number one, like I just mentioned, we're fighting complacency. We want to run the best game we possibly can, and that's what I think I said last time. I run the best game. And that's who I am. Now, I don't know if everybody agrees with that, but that's who I am. I run the best game. Okay, so I take that with me to every game. So when we get in those situations of lopsided scores, how do we run the best game? Well, in a lopsided score, we're gonna be even more vigilant about player safety, right? Because sometimes the players lose focus and behavior dips. And when behavior dips, we start to do things that aren't very smart. So we need to be all over that and anticipate that. So player safety is always high, but in a lopsided game, it needs to go higher. You can sense the frustration level it could explode. So player safety is number one. Player safety is always number one. I'm not trying to say it's not, but with these types of games, it is, because any lack of intensity is going to be overcome with a cheap shot or getting in somebody's face, pushing and shoving. So we own that. We're going to run that. Like that's not happening today. Okay. And we're going to use our voices. We're going to use our physical presence of being there. And then, we just want to try to get through that without having to throw the flag. But if we do everything we can and they don't give us a choice, sometimes we just have to throw the flag for control. We don't throw the flag because we need control. We provide presence to control the situation. If they step out of those lines, we throw the flag. That's player safety. Now, for us, if we're going to win this game and run the best game, then it always gets back to our focus and concentration, starting with our pre-snap routine, ending with our communication with our crewmates. So, people might look at you a little bit weird when it's 35-0 and you're trying to communicate better in that scenario than you have the whole day. But I'll tell you, it's harder to communicate at 35-0 than it is when it's 7-7 and the game's on the line with the clock ticking at 45 seconds to go. That's easy. We're locked in. We're locked in. We know what we're doing. We're all on the same page. We're all at this same level. When it's 35-0, one team's here, one team's here. Where are we? We got to be here. So pre-snap routine and communication. Now, we got to use common sense. We got to use common sense. We don't need to go in and communicate about every little thing and be annoying and be kind of one of those people that nobody wants to work with. But how do you take yourself and get something out of this game? If we do our pre-snap routine and we know that we nailed our pre-snap routine, and then we communicate when we know we need to communicate, we're going to win. We're going to run the best game. The next level to that is our visual mechanics during the play. When it's 35-0 or 50-0 or whatever, it is a great time. It is a great time to work on visual mechanics. And you say, well, I'm always working on visual mechanics. No, I know we're always working on visual mechanics. But that's a great time to be so intentional about visual mechanics. Maybe you experiment a little bit by looking somewhere where you don't necessarily look at a certain point in the pre-snap. I started doing this a couple years ago, and Tuta and I, Tuta. So we've been talking about this and trying to master this a little bit more. We've been trying to read from our positions in the offensive backfield. We've been trying to read when the defense is going to blitz linebackers better. We've been trying to become more like a quarterback who's reading the defense and trying to anticipate where threats are going to come from for us. The quarterback's trying to anticipate who's going to be open, where the soft spot in the coverage is going to be. We're trying to anticipate where the threats are going to come from to either be held or go rough the passer. So he and I have been talking a lot about in those moments where maybe it's 35-0, we can start to experiment a little more on analyzing the defensive alignment, picking up linebackers, picking up where the safety is. Is it going to be a corner blitz off the edge? Just examples. So anybody can do any of that from any position. It would just be a different example. But I would say, just to wrap up on that, it's a great question. Player safety is elevated. Our awareness of becoming great dead ball officials is elevated. That's number one. Number two, focus and concentrate even more on our pre-snap routine because the game's boring. The game's boring at that point. So we need to lock in more. Keep communicating with our crewmates. Keep communicating. Just because it's 35-0, don't quit communicating. And there might be some lighthearted moments. That's okay. That's okay. Just keep communicating. And then finally, don't be afraid to maybe experiment a little more and look at the game from a little different angle from your position, because we might learn something.
Perfect. Alguém tem mais alguma pergunta? Pedrão, Scoff.
Se deixar, a gente fica falando a noite inteira.
Sim. Alguém tem alguma pergunta ou posso continuar?
Eu posso fazer algumas também.
Show. O Thiago levantou a mão. Thiago, por favor, fica à vontade aí.
Hello, guys. Good evening, Mr. Cruz. You were talking about how we can get sloppy on our mechanics on this kind of game. So, do you have which kind of hints and tips can you give us to improve and keep improving our mechanics? Not only on this kind of games, but every game. I mean, we know it's hard to keep our concentration and do our mechanics. It's a lot of things to look and to do and to see during a play and during the game. So how can we improve our mechanics and keep improving it? Which are the best ways to study it and to improve our mechanics?
Yeah, so there's really three ways. One is self-evaluation of your game video. And talk to me now. How I see plays from your games every now and then, but I don't know if every game is on video or how much video do you all get? Every game or not really?
Most of the games, yeah.
Most of the games. Okay, perfect. So number one is self-evaluation of your own game video, meaning simply you're watching the game, you're watching yourself. Where should you be looking? Are you looking there when you need to be looking there? And if you're honest with yourself, it's not, you're going to miss some things. You're going to miss some things. Now, it's not that you miss big impactful things in the game, although, we all have, but, I'm talking about the finer details. For me, if it's a sweep to my left, did I release the center's block and get out to the tight end's block with the timing that I should have or not? And I want to evaluate that. 50 times a game. All right. And I know because when I watch the plays back, I remember the play. I don't remember every single detail of the play, but I remember the play. And if I'm late to get out to where I need to, then I try to analyze why. So I try to be very honest with myself and try to pick out things that I wasn't perfect at. Perfection isn't our goal overall because we're human, but perfection in each process step is our goal. We want to try to be as perfect in every process step as we can. So visual transitions, identifying the formation, right? All these things that inform where we should be looking and when. So that's self-evaluation. Obviously, our calls, we all do this already. If we make a call for holding or defensive pass interference or whatever, we always look at that. We always look at that call first because we want to go see our call. But I'm talking about every play and every element of every play. So you can go as deep as you want. That's what's great about this, about what we do as officials. there is just infinite amount of analysis to be done. And we don't do enough. You know, we don't really do enough. We go look at our calls, we maybe look at a couple other plays, and then we just kind of go on to the next game. And that's okay. I mean, that's okay. Maybe that's all we have time for. We have other commitments, we have jobs and families and everything else. But if we're talking about improvement, we got to get into that analysis of every element of every play. So number one is self-evaluation of game video. Number two is doing this, talking in groups of people. And, you know, there's never been an official that kept climbing the ranks, as we say, on his or her own. They've never done it on their own. They've always had somebody helping them along the way. And it may not be directly like, hey, I'm going to help you and take you from high school to college to the NFL, but it's somebody, it's like a mentor, or it could be, it doesn't even have to be a mentor. It's just a trusted peer that you can bounce questions off of and exchange ideas. We got to do that. And obviously you're doing it. You've got this great group set up and you're doing that. But be intentional. Be intentional about that. It's important to build the camaraderie and have fun and joke around. But at a certain point, we got to get into it. You know, we got to be honest with each other. So when you look at Tuta and Daniel and Corey with peer officiating, they've done that for me. And I'd like to say I've done that for them. We can send each other plays during the season, and we're gonna be very honest with each other. You know, and look, if you don't like my answer, you shouldn't have asked. You know, you shouldn't have asked. And I'll tell you this, I as the referee on their crews in the past had to grade them, give them grades on all of our games. And somehow we're still friends today. I don't know how, but we are. So that's interesting. I've never really thought about that before until I just said that. So it's self-evaluation. It's having groups that we can bounce plays off of, right? And then it's just working as much as we can. It's just working as many games as we can, because we don't, you know, it's not something where you can study and study and study and you just know what to do when you're out there. You know most of what to do. Like honestly, 85 to 90% of the plays probably going to be fine, no issues. And we can almost fake it till we make it. But those other 10%, when we handle those really well, it comes from experience. And it comes from experience of either having that play before or talking about it with your peer group like this. So it's self-evaluation of your work. It's having a group of like-minded individuals like this to talk football, and it's getting out and doing the work. You know, it's doing the work. There's just no substitute. We all want to get as high as we can, as fast as we can. It took me 20 years to get to the NFL. 20 years. People think that I got there in like 5. It didn't happen. 20 years. So, you know, and I'm lucky. I mean, it takes a lot of people longer than that. So I'm really lucky, but I like to think that I've implemented those things, which is very critical self-evaluation, deep analysis of my work, finding like-minded people to talk about plays with and talk about concepts of the game. That's why we created peer officiating, by the way. And then also just getting as much work as you possibly can. I remember wanting to work every game I could get my hands on. I know there's people like that on this call tonight. Like I wanted to work the freshman game, the sophomore game, the JV game, and the varsity game. I wanted to do all that, you know, just because I knew that there was no substitute for being on the field. So does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Mr. Cruz, by the way, we have now, I told you to Tuta last year, we have now poor officiating. It's now our Wednesday meeting. It's how we work here. Pedro has a question. Thanks, Thiago, for the question.
Very good.
Pedro, feel free.
Yeah. Good evening. Thank you for your words. I really want to ask you on the passing plays, how do you digest the hits on a quarterback?
Mhm.
I want to know more about your thought process, like seeing the play, seeing the hit, and deciding whether or not to throw a flag,
Okay.
and also your process to talking to the quarterback that maybe gets frustrated, or the defensive player that gets frustrated with the flag.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, awesome. Oh, you're right in my wheelhouse. I love this. I love this. Okay, so how do we evaluate the hit? So it starts with anticipating where that rusher is going to come from. All right. So that's why Tuta and I have been talking about getting a better pre-snap read of where the defenders are lined up. And if we start to recognize, certain patterns that jump out at us, now we have better odds, a better probability of knowing where that hit's going to come from. It's not going to be perfect. Okay, so that's where we start. Now we snap the football. You read pass. We got to read pass or run. Remember now, we got to read pass or run. So we read pass, they're pass blocking, and we start to analyze what those defenders are doing. Are they twisting? Are they bull rushing? Are they speed rushing? So let's analyze what the defenders are doing. So now, based on our keys, our areas of responsibility, I want to look at the defender that's most likely to beat his man, to beat his blocker. Okay. So now that I know the defender that's most likely to beat his blocker, once he does beat his blocker, once a defender beats his blocker, I'm going to look at that defender and figure out where he's coming in. I'm not going to look at the quarterback yet. I know where the quarterback is out of my peripheral vision. My focus is on this defender who's going to come hit the quarterback, because that defender could still get held because he just beat his blocker. Now I'm looking at the defender. If he gets held, I'm going to see it. Okay, now is the defender coming in high to the quarterback? Is he coming in more in the middle, or is he coming in low? I got to know that. My peripheral vision is going to tell me when the quarterback releases the pass. I'm not watching him throw the football. I'm not watching him really throw the football. I'm still kind of watching that defender. But peripherally, I can see him start to throw the ball. So now I have a timing judgment of if the defender's contact to the quarterback is going to be on time or late, right? So if it's late, meaning I tell myself this: could that defender have avoided punishing the quarterback that much? Could he have shown me that he was trying to avoid punishing the quarterback? Or was he so on time that it's a bang bang play? Meaning the quarterback passes, he passes and he's hit, right? It's almost bang bang. There's really not much time between the pass and the hit. We're good. We're good there. If there's an element of time between the pass and the hit, now I got to talk to myself and say, could he have avoided that much punishing contact? And if I feel he could have avoided it, but he didn't, that means he made a decision to rough the quarterback, and that's a flag. That's a flag for a late hit for roughing the passer. But still, we have to realize, did the defender come in and hit the quarterback high in the head? Did he hit him in the head? Or did he hit him in the knee? Did he hit him low? Because then the timing of his hit doesn't matter, right? So I got to see the location of his hit, high, middle, or low, and then I got to see the timing of which he delivered the hit. Was it bang bang with the pass, or did he hit him late? And if he hit him late, we have to decide, could he have avoided it? And if you're like, well, you'll see him come in and it's late, but he kind of holds the quarterback up. That's a late hit, but it's not a foul because he's showing me that he's avoiding punishing the quarterback. Or you'll see them, they'll come in and they're gonna go attack the quarterback, but they kind of spin off And that's good body language to show me that he's avoiding. So I want to see something like that. So if the quarterback complains that he got hit hard, which they often do, I'll just simply tell him, hey, and Patrick Mahomes is the one that always complains. I don't know, I mean, he's always complaining. I'll say, hey, that was bang, bang. That was not late. And that's all I need to say. That was bang, bang. That was not late. Or nope, that was in the shoulder, not in the head. That was from my angle, that was in the shoulder. So I'm just very direct with telling them what I saw. I'm not trying to lie or cover it up. I'm just very direct. And if I'm wrong, I'll see that in my self-evaluation that we talked about in the last question. And then I'll try to make an adjustment to get better. When the defender's mad that we throw the flag, I'll just tell him exactly what I felt he did. I said, hey man, next time I'd like you to show me that you're trying to avoid punishing him. And he'll say, what? Come on, this is football. I said, I know, but the rules protect him when he throws the ball. So I'm just out here trying to enforce the rules. So just show me that you're trying to avoid punishing him just a little bit. And usually I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. So I really try to talk to them. They don't always agree with me. But those are the things I'm looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It was a great question, great answer.
Thank you. Very good question.
Bernardo, feel free to.
Oh boy. Mr. Cruz, you were talking a lot about the X and O's of the game.
Yeah.
Like a sweep, a motion, reading the defense, and something like that. I believe some of us were players before we started officiating, and I believe some officials in the US as well.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty sure you revisit the rule book and the mechanics book every week or something like that. But
yes.
How often do you go to the X and O's, and how do you guys do it? And how do you think it benefits officiating to understand like what is a cover two, what is a shell, or something like that?
Well, here's the truth. Like I said, I don't try to cover anything up, and I'm going to tell you the truth. We don't do that nearly enough. We have so much room to grow in exactly what you're saying. We get upset with coaches because they don't know the rules. Well, we don't know the schemes. We don't know the coverages. We really don't know what they're trying to do. There's so much for us to learn. There's just not enough time. And there's just not like I said, we all have families and jobs and things we got to do. We're not really, this isn't really a full-time thing. It's not our business, whatever. Anyway, I just laugh because we have so much. As much as we want them to learn the rules, we have way more to learn about their schemes and their coverages and their route trees and blocking assignments and technique. We have so much more to learn than they had to learn about what we do. So I tell you what, I have on our crew with Carl Cheffers, we have Nate Jones. So Nate played 10 years in the NFL as a defensive back. So you would think that as I'm going into my third year, you would think that I'd sit right next to Carl in our meetings. I don't sit next to Carl. I can hear Carl just fine. I sit next to Nate because I like to ask Nate, hey, what are they trying to do on this play? When we talk about a play and Carl puts it up and how are we going to cover this? A lot of times I like to ask Nate, because Nate played in the NFL for 10 years, what are they trying to do? Because if we know what they're trying to do, maybe we can figure out how our mechanics should adjust. It's such a great question. I don't have a great answer other than I know we need to put a lot more work into it. I don't have a great solution on how we get there. It would be great if the coaches saw that as an opportunity for us. And I think they do, but they don't have time either. So it's quite an interesting, it's a gap. It's a gap between officiating and coaching. that really needs to close in somehow. So we should all work on that together and try to figure out the best way. There's my answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question.
I'm already thinking about the call some coaches to talk next week and how to develop this knowledge for officials, because we already complain about the coach
Oh yeah.
rule knowledge, and
Yes.
that's not our fault on this knowledge. Mr. Cruse, you talked early about the mixed crews and the fixed crews, and what do you think is about the maintain the fixed crews on states, and if it brings some benefits more than mixed crews, because on mixed crews you can gather the best officials sometimes, and fixed crews we can fix the problems every week. And I don't know how to every time we have this conversation in Brazil, we don't have an exactly answer, because every place has the specific situations. But I guess should be a dream, for example, be Bernardo and Pedro every week with me and trying to develop our football. But every week we have new guys coming and trying to push these guys to be on the same stage. Got it?
Yeah, it's a really important topic, because so if you look at what happens in the NFL and Division I college football here, we're always working in fixed crews. Now, those crews change slightly from season to season, but throughout one season, they're usually 98% is going to be, you're going to be with the same people throughout that season. Well, because we're no different than the teams. We want to start at week 1 and build our collective performance so that we're performing our best at the end of the year when the games matter the most. We're the exact same as the teams. Now, of course, the teams want us to be here, and we want to perform here all throughout the season. But let's be honest, when we get on the field on week 1, if we start here, we better not be here in week 13 or 15 or 16, right? I mean, we better be here or better. That's the goal. And really, the only way to do that is with a fixed crew, because you're not going to know in week 12, you're not going to know if you're better as a crew than you were in week 1 if you're just working with different people all the time. So, I mean, I think that people, we work with fixed crews because it works really well for a continuous improvement perspective. Here's where that's dangerous, though. Here's where that's dangerous. If we just form these crews and we form these little groups of people, well, how do we get new people in? So what the NFL does a great job of is, every time there's new officials, they don't go to the same crew. They go to all the different crews, and they get assimilated with all the veteran officials, but then they get to work with them for the whole year. So we got to be careful. We got to be careful that we don't form, because this happens in high school football here. This happens in high school football, where you'll have 5, 6, or 7 officials that work together for 20 years. And I mean, and they're very good. Dream team, right? You said dream team. They're very good. They're the dream team. But all of our new people are missing out on learning from them, potentially. So we got to be careful. It's a double-edged sword in my mind, right? There's pros and cons to both. If we're talking about shortage of officials, then I really want new officials working with experienced people and trying to create the best experience for them as possible. But if we're talking about, as we get towards the end of the season, boy, it's good to work with people and trust, and you can go out there and nail one of the biggest games, one of the most meaningful games together. So that's the benefit of a crew. Not to mention, from week to week, we can talk and learn each other and how we're improving and what we need to improve on. And what's great about that is little themes pop out every year, right? Little themes pop out every year. Last year for us, it was intentional grounding. In the NFL, we were terrible on intentional grounding. Nobody will probably tell you that. Don't tell anybody I told you that, by the way, but we were terrible. So we focused on it. We had one call that we weren't very happy with early in the season. So we got to talk about it. We got to see some other unfortunate examples from other games. And then we absolutely nailed the rest of our intentional grounding calls. It just, for whatever reason, intentional grounding was a theme last year. But we were so prepared for that because we got to talk about it before it happened. And it's very hard to talk about anything before it happens if you're getting together with a bunch of new officials every single week or every game. That's very difficult because you basically have to start over. So it's pros and cons both ways, right? I mean, I really want new people to work with experienced people so that they understand how to work and don't have to just fend for themselves.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cruz. Someone else has some question, or can I be on the clock again?
Go again.
I think you're on the clock.
We trust you. We trust you.
Mr. Cruz, last year we had a meeting with John Monroe. I know you guys. He's a back judge on Chris Blakeman crew, and in Brazil we have Brazil Bowl as our Super Bowl.
Okay.
And every people in our community has this dream as an achievement. And we always talk about frustration and how the things can't happen. If that is some, in Brazil we have some kind of lucky and monetary situations because Brazil is so big and football is not a rich sport in Brazil. So he was in some kind of conversation to become a referee in the NFL. You are a guy that was in the championship game a few years ago, and everybody is seeing how the many umpires in the NFL can become an NFL referee, and how do you deal with the situation and a possibility of a frustration to not become a referee in the NFL or not to reach a Super Bowl assignment? How these things go in your mind?
Okay. Yeah. So this happens. What we're talking about here happens everywhere, right? I didn't get the playoff game. I didn't get the bowl assignment. I didn't get the big rivalry game. They gave it to somebody else. I didn't get a Super Bowl. Why am I not a referee? Like, come on. So, first of all, for me personally, if that happens, if that opportunity is given to me, that's great. And I'm definitely going to do everything I can to be successful there. But nope, I'm an umpire. I'm trying to become number one at the umpire position right now. That's my focus. That's my goal, is to become the best umpire I can possibly be for our crew. And I mean, so that's how I deal with it. Do people ask me about it all the time? Yeah. Whatever. I mean, I was a referee in college, so that's why they asked me. But it doesn't matter that they asked me, because I still got to go work on being the best umpire I can be tomorrow, right? I still got to go work on that. So, I mean, I enjoy the question, but it doesn't, it's not frustrating to me, because if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, there's a lot of qualified people, and I'm going to go be the absolute best that I can. I'm going to go run the best game. I keep saying that. So here's the thing. It's really hard. Let's be honest. It's really hard when we don't get the Super Bowl or the Brazil Bowl or the conference championship or the playoff game. It's hard. It's hard. So let's just all admit that it's hard, right? It's hard. Like, oh, they didn't give me that game. So, take some time. Here's what I think. Take some time, deal with it however you deal with it. But don't take too long, because the longer we take on that and the longer we spend thinking about how mad we are, how sad we are, that's just opportunity that we could be getting in better shape and learning the rules better and doing all that. So, it's really just a mindset thing. It's really a mindset thing. And I think Daniel Young would be able to explain this so well. Daniel went, don't tell him I told you guys this. Daniel went 5 years without a bowl game. 5 years. That's a long time, man. Daniel's 41 years old. Like, that's an eighth of his life without a bowl game. Do you think he was frustrated? Yeah, he was frustrated. Did I hear about it? Yeah, I heard about it. We talked about it. But he picked himself up and he came back and he got better every year. Now, here's the other thing. If you don't get a playoff game, does that define who you are as an official? No. No, no, no. That is one assignment and one decision that somebody else made. That doesn't define me, right? The fact that I got the championship game, that does not define me, because I would have had to go and try to get better anyway. Whether I got the championship game or not, I got to go get better the next year anyway. Doesn't matter. So that's what Daniel did. Daniel didn't get bowl games, and he went out and he got better every year. Now, he was good enough to get bowl games. We all know that, and he knew that. But he didn't let the frustration that he didn't let that get him down. He used it as fuel to keep growing. And now he's worked the Big 12 Conference Championship and the national semifinal in one of the greatest games we've all ever seen in the last several years, Michigan, Alabama, at the Rose Bowl. So I just love that story. And he was very frustrated those years he didn't get bowl games, but he went back to work. He kept seeking out reps. We kept talking about plays. He went and self-evaluated on himself. All the things we've been talking about tonight, he put in the work, and the results are just amazing for him. So it's okay to be frustrated when we don't get those great assignments, but we don't let that define who we are, because that's somebody else's decision that I don't control. I'm going to control my performance and how to get better, but I don't control their decision-making process. Right? So
Perfect.
that's how we got to look at that.
Yeah, perfect answer. How much time we have left?
How about 10 more minutes?
Perfect. Someone else has some question? Bernardo, please.
There we go.
I want a hard truth now.
Let's do it.
No sugar coating.
Okay.
We have some Brazilian videos that popped up on Pure Officiating. Some weird situations we had, and I know it's not like a big amount of video you guys have seen on the American football here in Brazil, but I would like to know, what are the biggest gaps you see on our officiating? Like, let's say, not saying it's my goal, but for example, if I wanted to be like a NFL level official or NCAA Division I level, what do you guys see, like, from an overall perspective?
Yeah. Well, first of all, so this isn't about the officiating, but the players just look different, and we know why. I mean, it's just a different level of play, and that's hard. Sometimes that's harder to officiate than these ultra fine athletes who are very, crisp in what they do. So that's what really pops out at me. other than that, I think it's just so you're no sugarcoating, right? No sugarcoating. Okay.
No sugarcoating,
You-
please.
you're dealt that level of play, which can be hard. So, you got to ask yourself, do you let your performance go down to that level, or are you going to go work to be that best team on the field? Right? Are you going to go work to be that best team on the field? So we've seen from some of the plays some very kind of nonchalant body language, which we don't want to be super intense, but maybe some lazy looking body language, no sugarcoating. So don't kick me off here. I mean, I hope I get invited back someday, but so, how do we step up our professionalism, right? How do we make it look like, because if we look like we know what we're doing, if we make them think we know what we're doing, then the perception of our performance skyrockets. So that's why we talk so much about just being very efficient. If we have a flag, get that flag taken care of. Get the referee announcement. Get the ball, get it enforced, and get the ball down, and let's play football. And like we have camps, so we'll have camps, and we'll have newer officials coming in, and they're coming to camp to learn, and they take forever. They take forever to enforce a penalty, like 2 minutes. And we're all sitting there like, let's go, but it's great. It's great that happens, because now the next day we can talk about what can we do to make this more efficient. We don't want to just go fast. We don't want to just go fast, but we want to go faster. We want to go faster. So the more crisp we are, the more put together we are, the more professional we look, the more the perception of our performance increases. And that's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. Because then they're going to trust our calls more. The communication is going to become a little bit easier once they trust us more. We all know that. So that's what I would say. I think it starts with the level of play. It's tough, but we know why. It's a developing game. It's not the number one game in your country. We get that. But then, okay, but let's elevate ourselves. Let's elevate ourselves. Let's run the best game. Let's run an efficient game. Let's make sure we don't get caught, looking a little bit lazy and mediocre on the field. Let's communicate crisply. Let's be efficient. Let's get the game going, because we're all there for the game. So if we're all there for the game, we got to keep that thing going and be as efficient as possible. Not fast. We're not trying to be fast, but we're trying to be efficient. Okay?
That's
Awesome.
perfect. I was taking notes. I think Guy will probably agree with you. Like, you were sharp on your points more than you can imagine.
Yes.
Oh,
We
really?
discussed it a lot.
Yeah, we have some tough comments during our meetings, because I guess sometimes we ask too much by the officials, and I guess every person is able to give this effort to be this kind of official, because some people just want to go there, take the money, and go back home, and okay, I got some money. No, we are here. We know we get some money, but it's not about the money. It's about the performance, and what we can give to the players, to the coaches, and to the game.
Yes.
So if so, thank you. It's the first official who can make some claps for me in a meeting in Brazil.
There we go.
And
Well said.
Yeah, thank you. If I can ask you, I can send a video with some guys here officiating together, and you take some notes.
Yes.
Could be amazing for us, because we everything you told here today. For example, I sent Pedro a lot of plays, and sometimes we have some fights. but
Oh yeah. Yes.
it's some good fights, and we take some time to recover in our friendship. And I have a group with Bernardo and Pedro and other guys, and send some clips. And okay, sometimes okay, we disagree on this call, but let's make our friendship keep in a good manner, okay?
Oh yeah.
And we have our meetings, but our way to make football is trying to reach the way you make football, and we're trying to get this mindset, because we know there is a lot of ways to be assigned, but we just can go there out there and officiate a game. Thank you for your time. I
You
guess we
you'll
have,
probably see some of our faces on future years on
Good.
pure officiating camps.
yes,
We
yes,
have discussed it already, doing like a tour.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's make sure we stay in touch
yeah.
and really think hard about that. We would love to have you. But that's after you throw us that party for the Brazil game in September,
Absolutely.
right?
The
Okay.
barbecue.
We have I have
I'm hoping we get that game. I'm hoping.
yeah. I have a football school officiating in Brazil with Gianni and Marcos, another two officials, and we have now our national course, and we're trying to save some money to bring you and Tuta next year, and trying to make it work. You will see. I will keep in touch.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who's, I'm always sending video and asking for root tests. Don't be mad with me, because
Oh
I'm
no.
trying to get more tests and content every week after the VSTs. I download the video and send to the guys, and guys,
Good.
what we have here. Yesterday, me and Pedro talking about this possible targeting on roughing the passer.
Yeah.
Which side you are? Brandon side, Tutai side, and and we try to but it's too healthy for us. Being
Good.
we talk about rules all the day. Looks like we are unemploying guys, but we aren't, because we're trying to talk about football all day long.
Well, good. We'll keep it up. Send us more stuff, man. I'm telling you. I think we've got 2 plays from you now.
Yeah.
That we've got a list of plays that we're working off of. So we've got 2. I think we've got 2 that we haven't used yet. So be on the lookout for those.
Yeah, I just don't send more plays because you lost the faith on football. If you see what we see, and that's not what I want. But we call golden videos, and every golden video I'm sending to you, and I will send the Brazil Bowl. I guess is a good game to show you, because I guess we had a good game. But if you told us it was a shit, it's not a problem for us. But we want to have your opinion.
Yeah, we will. I would be happy to look at the game, however you want to send that, and I'll take some notes and shoot it right back to you. It doesn't take me long to get through a game. I do a lot of that. So
yeah, I won't tell you who is every person
that's
on the
okay.
field,
Yeah, no.
and to please be tough with us.
Yeah. So just so you know, like with our camps, and people don't realize this until they've been to one. We do that. We do that for every single play. We write up an evaluation of every play, and they get it.
Yeah.
And again, don't ask if you don't want to know, right? I mean,
yes. You told about the
true.
2-minute enforcement. We have this problem in Brazil, and sometimes when we're watching the game, we make a coffee and go back, and the people are still enforcing. It's a huge problem, because we're trying to make the game faster and correct. So it's we're trying to make a balance on this place. Mr. Cruz, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, I made some clips and translate the what you said
Okay.
and post on our Instagram, but it's something cool, just cool things, not sugarcoating and nothing like that. Just good things and this kind of mindset and
Yeah.
what you can take of the official by the officials.
Yeah. No,
Thank you.
Bernardo was very clear, no sugarcoating. So
Yeah,
I was gonna do,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
this is so much fun. Thank you guys. Thank you for everything you're doing. We really appreciate this relationship. So let's keep it going.
thank you so much. We were keeping here to talk about this meeting. We made our like a post game show to talk about the meeting. And thank you so much. You are always invited. Just let you know, if you come to Brazil, we have a lot of beers if you drink beer, and we'll provide this kind of entertainment after the Brazil's game. And feel free to bring the crew. We are excited to have NFL officials on our barbecue, because Keith Washington was were in the last officiating meeting in Brazil, but don't ask him what happened there. We just want your presence there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cruz.
Good night. Bye bye.
Bye bye.